Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Chilluminati podcast, episode 310. As always, I am one of your hosts, Mike Martin, today joined by one of the usual two hosts that are with me, a dear Alex Faciane.
That's right. Jesse decided that in the midst of LA month that he would leave the entire country. So he has done that. And so we have put a pin in our Manson till next week. And in Jesse's place today, graciously, is a good friend of mine. She is a stand-up comedian, writer, and raconteur based out of Los Angeles, California, which is, of course, what this month is all about. She's got a great podcast, sitcom, audio thing that she did a while ago called Cyber Cafe. There's the Blade of Cutie Pen. She's been sort of like inundating herself in like game dev and graphics. Last year, I think it was last year, we saw her in the Los Angeles Hollywood Fringe Festival doing her show, My Brother the Car. And now in about, a week? We're going to see her in Edinburgh, Scotland in the real big Fringe Festival with her show, My Favorite Loser.
The one that bankrupts you.
Yeah, the one that bankrupts you when you fly out and nobody goes to see your show. Abby Denton is here.
Hello, it's an honor to be here. I didn't know that so many of your co-hosts were leaving the country. I'm glad to join that cohort. Yeah,
you're about to head like literally tomorrow to do this show, right?
I thought it was tomorrow. It turns out my flight is Friday. So I have a day where I have nothing scheduled. Nothing to do with my life. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little worried you're going to be like, actually, it's in 3 hours. So if we can just get this done. That was my fear.
I would love to just hop in and out while I'm doing TSA stuff. Just live stream.
Yeah, that's how they do it today. Anyway,
I think they shoot you if you turn on a camera in there.
Yeah, I saw My Brother the Car at LA Fringe. I thought it was very funny, and it was. I went with my friend who had just kind of came cold to see you and had a great time.
Hey!
And Hilda, who is our like Bogwitch communications
what a job title
person. I don't know what she is. She's our good friend.
She's great. That's what Hilda is. Hilda's great.
She does a bunch of great shit. She's going to go see it because she's in Edinburgh. So
yay.
You should too.
It's called No. This one's My Favorite Loser.
Yeah, My Favorite Loser.
It's at the Space in Theater 3 at the Surgeons Hall, which is usually a medical college that they repurpose for theater stuff, as I understand it, during the Fringe. So,
well, I feel like it's going to be really cool, and I think there's a lot of people in Scotland who listen to this show. Shout outs to them. And if you're there, just go give it a look. Why not? You're going to go see at least 2 or 3 shows while it's going on. So you might as well.
Tickets are cheap. It's in the evening. It's perfect. Centrally located.
Yeah. Where can they get tickets?
The spaceuk.com, which I always get that wrong because I always think it's the space.co.uk. It's the spaceuk.com. Has a whole ticket website there. Just find the entry for my show, Abby Denton, My Brother, sorry, I keep saying last year's show, Abby Denton, My Favorite Loser. But we made all the marketing, and then we found out it sounded like I'm a loser, but I'm not.
You're just talking about your favorite one.
Yeah, his name is Felix Carvajal. He was a mailman. He's great.
I left out of my intro, and I shouldn't have left this out, that you're like a wizard of Digimon.
Yes.
I feel like it's not correct to welcome you onto the show without at least mentioning Digimon right at the top.
That's crazy because I consider Alex and Kelly like wizards of Pokemon, and now I've got a wizard of each of the major mons.
Well, and we keep trying to schedule a summit so that we can finally bring peace to the two communities. But
it's like Gandalf the Grey and Radagast the Brown. Yeah,
they were warring big time in the 90s when I was a kid. We were warring
big time in the 90s. Yeah. We have comprehensively finished that war long ago.
All right, good.
Yeah, aggressions have cooled just like the Crips and the Bloods. We now just have barbecues and just kind of no, but it's really great to have you on the show. And when we have somebody on for the first time, especially, we always ask the same question, which is kind of like, Jesse, I would say, is the Scully of the show. Math is absolutely the Mulder of the show. And I am Tony Shalhoub from Galaxy Quest, who I just enjoy what's happening. I don't really care about truth. I'm just kind of...
You don't care about franchise.
I'm a postmodernist.
Saying that with a blunt in your hand is just superb. Because wasn't that like they cut a scene establishing that he's high as a kite through that whole movie?
That's the kind of quality video content you get at the $15 tier at patreon.com/Chilluminati pod.
That's the three energies that make up our show. And so which one do you think, what camp do you think?
Yeah,
you
where
fall
on the
into?
spectrum are you?
You know, in the spectrum of supernatural belief, I guess I'm Sam Rockwell in Galaxy Quest, where I mainly don't want to die. I don't want to believe in any of these things, but if it's dark and I'm alone, I suddenly find that I do. I only believe in life after death in the sense of hell. I find heaven stretches credulity a little.
It feels like it wouldn't be that good. Like the way that you usually see it, it feels like it would be kind of like not as fun as like, you know, it's like it's like gates. There's like clouds. Everybody's kind of.
And if it's heaven from the Bible, you spend eternity praising and singing about God. That is what it is described as. Is it just an eternity of singing and praising God? That sounds like hell to me.
I've heard it very, very comprehensively, very persuasively argued that it's the difference between black churches and white churches. Like, you actually enjoy being at black church, apparently. It's completely alien to me. I can't imagine such a thing. Yeah.
I've never done it. But I have been to a lot of terrifying Catholic ceremonies. Yeah. And you know, I don't know. It seems pretty chill compared to some of the other churches in some ways, but in other ways, I think we're the worst. So here's what's up. The other question that we always ask is, and this one always elicits some kind of interesting result, is like,
so
have you ever encountered anything that might appear on our show, like an alien side or something you can't explain? Or is there like some story in your family that's like the one that always gets told at Easter, that's like the one about grandma when she like almost fell down because she saw a shadow or something?
I slept on a mattress on my parents' bedroom floor for 6 months at age 11 because I saw a ghost on New Year's Eve, which with the benefit of hindsight, I understand was almost certainly just because I stayed up for, you know, however, 23 consecutive hours. But it looked he had like Wolverine claws.
Oh,
and like fish eyes. He looked kind of like the way they do ghosts in the video game Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. And the fact that I can identify, it looks like that thing, is another mark in that was my subconscious talking.
And the timeline kind of like matches up on when that game was out too, right? Just about.
I'm trying to look at a picture of these things.
Well, that makes me sound older than I even am. And even older than I pretend to be for the purposes of Hollywood casting.
I am 37 years old. That's all I have to say in response.
I am 56 years old.
Oh, wow. Doubled up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Taya Leone apparently claims she's older than she is, just so everyone's always like, you look great. Just a great bit.
That's very funny to like do a lot of times.
Yeah.
Okay. So you saw the ghost. Break it down. Like what happened? Like where were you? How did you see it?
I was just lying down asleep in the room that I shared with my sister. And I saw a ghost, and my sister, 3 years younger than me, fine with it. Because she didn't see it, and she was fully aware that I was nuts, and
both conscious at the time.
I've blocked out a lot of my childhood, but I feel like it must have lasted so long just because I couldn't be bothered to move my mattress back into my parents' room. That seems
kind of nice. It's kind of nice of a vibe, in a way.
Yeah. My parents were very happy about it. Very tense. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, weird.
So as I explained before the show started, it is LA month here on the show, and we talked a little bit about that we have secret plans in order. You know, there's things going on behind the scenes that we're planning. You know, there's every little secret is real. There's clues everywhere. But all I want to do today is I just want to put another invitation out there to people listening. If you're from Los Angeles, or you have been to Los Angeles, or you want to be on an episode of Chilluminati, go onto our subreddit at r/ChilluminatiPod and go to the top of the page. Look at the pinned post that's asking for reader stories for Los Angeles. And we're going to have some special guests on in just a couple weeks. And they're going to read some of those stories aloud for everyone. And we're looking for personal stories. Even if you just live in Los Angeles and have seen a ghost, that is a story in Los Angeles. I just want to know basically what neighborhood you lived in and what ghost it is, or if there is any sort of local crime that's famous, or some time when a big dumpster exploded, and you'll never forget it. I just want it to be a texture and flavor of the city of Los Angeles. It doesn't even necessarily have to be like, I saw a ghost with Wolverine claws that terrorized me on New Year's Eve. It can be,
That'd be sick.
Yeah, it can be lower stakes. I just want a nice big grouping of people from all different backgrounds to roll up and drop some stories on me. So please head to r/Chilluminati pod and drop some stories. I would take a second here also to promote our show in Chicago on November 1st. However,
we sold out.
We sold it out. So if you missed out on that, your only option is to scalp.
And man, those, I'm sure they're going to sell our tickets at $500 a piece.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Maybe that's just a backdoor and another ad for r/Chilluminati pod, because if you end up with a ticket that you can't use, I'm sure that somebody will be there who will snap it up. So there you go. r/Chilluminati pod. It's the cheese.
Thank you so much to today's sponsor, ZocDoc. Remember that doctor's appointment you were supposed to be making like a while ago? The one that you meant to book but got sidetracked and completely forgot about until right now, actually? Yeah, you know, the dentist appointment for your biannual cleaning. Well, why not book today? ZocDoc makes it easy to find the right doctor right now, and it's all online. You'll probably be able to book an appointment before the end of this ad. It's, timing you starting now, actually. Here goes the clock. Yep. Okay, there we go. If you don't know, ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. With ZocDoc, you can book in-network appointments with more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty from mental health to dental health, primary care to urgent care, and more. You can even filter for doctors who take your insurance, are located nearby, are a good fit for any medical need you may have, and are highly rated by verified patients. Appointments made through ZocDoc also happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. More often than not, you can even get same-day appointments. Literally, I actually used ZocDoc 2 days ago to get my annual booked. So, I use this thing. I've been using it since before we worked with them. So stop putting off those doctor appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/chill to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/chill. ZocDoc.com/chill. Thank you again to ZocDoc for sponsoring today's episode. As Alex said earlier, this is going to be an episode about LA. Now, we've done a few shows out in LA, and anytime we go to a city, I try to do a topic that's based around that city. And we've done plenty of them in LA, and so I have plenty of topics to kind of pull from. But as I usually do, I also did some more research on some of these topics to see if there's any more information that I could pull through, and obviously led me to some interesting rabbit holes that led to like smaller topics. This is going to be all basically paranormal stuff. I don't think there's any true crime stuff on here really to be talking about. And we're going to be starting at the very beginning with my favorite goddamn thing in the world, aliens, obviously. But I've been to LA a bunch of times now. You live there. So I think like Los Angeles is one of the like only places where I feel like it's like its own background character in and of itself. Any story told in LA kind of has its own tone to it.
It's a weird place to live for sure. We both, me and Abby both live there. And it's a weird place to live. I was born and raised.
How would you, like, what do you mean, being like a native to LA, what do you mean it's weird place to live? Like, how do you perceive it as weird having originated from there? Or is it just a vibe?
So it's like on the short list, right, of like the big cities, right? That's how I at least in my American-centric life experience, it seems to be one of the bigger cities on the planet. But I've been to a lot of big cities on the planet, and like LA has a totally different way of working and functioning, and the flow of it is very different, and the lifestyle of living in LA is very different, and it's just generally like physically bigger.
Yeah, it's huge
than a lot of the other cities that are like the big cities. And so it just kind of has a weird pattern. Like it didn't grow around a civic center. It's like a bunch of roads that used to be train tracks that people just like crisscrossed together and kept building houses in between. And it's just so many that we were like, yes, this is the kingdom now. And so to me, that's the thing. And I live in Culver City, which is like an ancient Los Angeles neighborhood. And if you don't want to say where you live, you don't have to, but I feel like where you live and where I live, though they are close together, are very different textures of Los Angeles, even though they're very close.
For sure. I'm in K-Town, which has apparently changed a lot, even just in the last 20 years. My boy Abu was telling me he used to go up Wilshire sort of in your Sunday best, and now you go up Wilshire in your Sunday best, like if you want to be robbed and commit some kind of insurance fraud scam.
Yeah. It has buildings. It's one of the rare parts that has like tall buildings and streets where you walk.
There's so many of those, like those old light up signs that no one ever lights up that are all falling to pieces. I live down the street not down the street. I live over a mile in a direction that I won't specify from the Gaylord Arms, which is,
oh my gosh,
just a big smile every time I see it. And I was watching Moonlighting, which is big LA show a couple of months ago. And Alice Beasley, whose voice you will recognize if you look her up, who's the secretary on that show, she gets kidnapped in front of her home. And her apartment was in the Gaylord Arms. And so I got to say, that's my team where someone's getting abducted. Good for her.
I go eat there all the time at the Bounty. You ever gone there?
Ooh, is that good?
It's like very cheap. You go in there, it looks like a set from Columbo. It's themed after like if you were a 1960s textbook about like British piracy and like sea history.
I respect it.
And you can the drinks are cheap and there's steaks. And it's pretty I don't know, it's an LA place.
You've sold me. You've sold me. My roommate used to go there all the time. Sorry.
No,
just talking about a steakhouse no one will go to. Sorry.
You should go. Honestly, like it's worth visiting as a tourist even.
Hey.
I think it's
It's right next to the Brown Derby Plaza, which used to be a restaurant in the shape of a derby hat, and now it's just a place. Like it makes me so mad every time I walk past. It's just a strip mall now. But they kept the name to taunt us. Ooh.
It didn't really click with me until I visited LA, like how sprawling and like enormous Los Angeles is by necessity, kind of because it's on a desert, but also, like you said, as the city grew with train tracks, almost how similarly Boston is a spaghetti street town because it was all colonist roads that were just then turned into streets that make no goddamn sense. It's similar in that way. And it does have a flavor to it. And in that, like, the sky, in my mind, is like its own participatory character here. It's where I had my first UFO fucking sighting was in California, which was like weird still. I still think about it. And it's just in that UFO sighting, it's not the only one that happened. I get tons of stories now about people who see stuff out in LA, not only just through the Reddit, but emails. People who email the stories, if you're comfortable, put them on the Reddit. That would be fantastic, by the way.
r/Chilluminati pod. It's a pinned post right at the top from Hilda. Go find it.
Exactly. But even when I'm there hanging out with you, dude, like in a way, if to speak it in a character's terms, when the city gets nervous, right? The searchlights hit the sky looking for people across the street. And I've heard helicopters whirring out there almost every time I'm out there.
Have you all talked about the helicopters out here? This is one of my favorite. Factoid means it's not true. My favorite strange trivia, which is there's a book about architecture and like crime and the shape of these things that I feel like I need to remember the name of it. But it talks about how LA and a couple other cities that are built almost exclusively on grids see a lot more use of helicopters by police because it's so much easier to identify where you are instead of being like, oh, it's 3 blocks over from the weird windy street.
That makes a lot of sense. That actually makes a whole lot of sense.
I never would have thought of that.
I see him a lot. Is it Mike Davis? Is it that book? What's it called?
It's like a black cover, yellow text, I think.
It's not City of Quartz.
It could be. I don't think that book is LA centric, although there are a lot of LA stories. They talk about the storm tunnel drill thieves, which I'd love to hear if you have a theory about the drill thieves downtown this month.
Oh my gosh. I love hearing stories like that, but I never get into them and like dig in. I always want to I feel like it's like a comic book that comes out. Like I love like finding out the one. Remember the one where they went in the roof of the wine shop and took all the expensive wines?
Wow!
Like they did a saw like a fucking like Wile E. Coyote.
Oh my gosh! What? That's great.
Came in the top. Yeah, I don't know. I just love that type. It's romantic to me.
Yeah. Coyotes are romantic. That's what I've found living in Los Angeles.
As far as aliens go, though. I think the clearest and most obvious story that you may have even heard of is obviously the Battle of Los Angeles, which is, I feel like, LA, like necessary lore if you're into the alien sphere, I guess, at the very least. Are you familiar with it, Abby?
I'm not. Tell me more. There was a movie with this title, but it's not, I assume.
It's so poorly ripped off of, like, I don't know what they were capitalizing on, totally unrelated almost, other than aliens in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's it. I'll set the scene for you then. It's the middle of the night on February 25th, 1942, one day after the Imperial Japanese submarine I-17 surfaced off of Elwood, west of Santa Barbara, and threw a couple dozen shells toward oil facilities. The physical damage up there was basically minor by the end of it all, but the psychological effect on the city wasn't, and people knew the West Coast wasn't off limits anymore after this attack. The Navy's own historical summary clocks Elwood on February 23rd with quote-unquote minor damage, and most reconstructions treated as the primer for what followed. Warnings were already in the air before the guns started firing for this event as well. Naval intelligence circulated a notice on the evening of the 24th that an attack could be expected within about 10 hours. An alert went up at 7:18 p.m. and then got lifted at 10:23 p.m. And after midnight, the phone lines and spotter reports started up again. Around 2 a.m, Army radar sites were painting a contact roughly 120 miles offshore, moving toward LA. And at 2:25 a.m., the sirens sounded and the blackout snapped on. The fighters of the 4th Interceptor Command stayed on alert but didn't launch, and the 37th Coast Artillery Brigade started firing at 3:16 a.m. And the barrage ran its fits until 4:14 a.m., and the all clear didn't sound until 7:21 a.m. The tally of shells were somewhere around, some say it was around 1,400, some say it was 1,400 exactly. It depends on the source that you're reading. The daylight tally landed in a different place entirely, though. There was no enemy wreckage from what they were firing at, no downed planes, just shrapnel-scored roofs, blown-out windows, and 5 indirect deaths on the ground, 3 from car crashes during the blackout, and 2 from heart attacks caused by the chaos of everything that just kind of happened in the moment. One detail from the official histories marks the point where noises became the story. So, like, at 3:06 a.m., observers reported a balloon carrying a red flare over Santa Monica. 4 batteries opened up, and the rest of the city followed suit. And if you're looking for, like, something that triggers this timeline, this is kind of like it. This is what the kind of solidifies this legend. Now, what came next is the part that kept the legend really alive. By midday, you had clashing explanations out of Washington. Secretary of the Navy Frank Knox told reporters it had been a false alarm courtesy of just jittery nerves on behalf of the military. The War Department hedged that, and Henry Stimson even floated the possibility of a formation of planes over the city, somewhere up to 15, maybe even commercial aircraft flown by enemy agents just to sow panic. That was another one. It was a face-saving theory, I think, without really any wreckage behind it to prove it. I mean, if there were 15 planes and you were firing 1,400 rounds at them over the course of X number of hours, you would expect to have something. But once you kind of put that kind of like split on the record, there's 2 different stories. Now the story can kind of have room to build its own mystery around it. And local editorials complained about mysterious reticence, quote unquote. And a congressman from California called for an investigation the next day. Now, there's a photograph, and I'm going to link you the photograph here.
Such a dramatic and interesting photograph.
This is one of my sources. This is the military museum site. Is one of my sources for this. You can click that. The photograph is right up front. This is basically the photograph everyone knows the best. And what were you going to say, Alex? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how centered this is around San Pedro, where I grew up.
Yeah.
Which is like in the harbor, but where we went that one time when you came over, Mathis, when we like walked out onto that like kind of cliff, that area, they do a reenactment of this like all the time, and it looks exactly like this picture. Like,
right.
Other than of course the like clear item in the middle of all the spotlights that are, you know, focusing like kind of converging onto it. They don't usually put something up there.
And if you look, Abby, if you zoom in on the thing, it's like they're all pointing at. You can almost maybe see some sort of weird, you really kind of want like a saucer somewhere in there with like a pointy top. It's hard to tell because of what they did. And that's kind of the next part of the story is that like the LA Times ran the story with this picture, and this picture is what cemented this forever in the lore of LA. They ran the photo is a tight convergence of beams with a bright core that looked something pinned in the lights. The paper later showed the flatter, underexposed version and explained the 1940s darkroom touch-up, whitening and widening beams for reproduction that amped up the drama. And that was the problem. The photo you're seeing here is actually not the original photo. It's their touch-up and basically bringing out changing the exposure to brighten up the beams and stuff. And that's why there was so much problems.
So does the original have like a little guy in there too? Little alien waving his hands at us through the windows?
Let me get you a link to the original Battle of LA.
Little Locky 2 with a fishing line sitting in a cloud?
Yeah, this is from airminded.org. Shout out to you guys. And you're going to have the supposedly non-touched up one right there, which is way darker, but it's still all focused on something. You can see the tracer fire more readily in the non-touched up version of the photo.
It's less clearly an object, at least.
Yeah.
And it's clearly mirrored or something, and I don't even see a landscape in it compared to the other one.
Yeah.
But it does look very similar, I don't know.
Yeah. But that's the issue is already, right? Like the fact that they touched it up immediately muddied the waters. Like I said, the paper later showed the flatter, more underexposed version and explained why they touched it up. That basically amped up the drama. But the scene was real. The punch was also helped along. That's why the image still functions kind of like a Rorschach test for people. It shows a true night with enhanced contrast, and people pour certainty into that middle spot where all the lights converge and they see what they think they want to see. Because it does, you look hard enough in the touched up version, really, you can kind of maybe see a saucer shape in there. And that's enough for people to be like, that's what it is. Where it could be an artifact of how they enhance the photo.
In the thing that you put in the thing that you sent, if you scroll down, it has like 2 examples.
Yeah.
And it shows there's one with like a bunch of spotlights in the harbor that's like not from that day, but there's like a lot of beams that are like converging, and they don't produce any sort of object. Like, you know what I mean? Like where the convergence points are, you don't see like little UFOs. But then if you scroll down a little more, there's a thing that's like also from the same time, where it's just some spotlights shooting up, which is another thing you see in LA all the time because there's always some kind of premiere or used car lot going on. And the spotlights shine straight up into the air in this photo, and they're hitting a cloud. And the cloud is like producing an irregular shape because it's not a fully illuminated cloud. It's just a weird shape that you're seeing sort of like projected on the cloud like a flashlight that's only illuminating some of the cloud. So it makes it look kind of weird. So maybe it could be that, but what looks like, it still looks more like a thing in the original photo to me.
Yeah. And it could be the original explanation as well. Maybe they had a happy trigger finger, got really nervous, and it was like they shot at nothing. But it does look like there's something there in this that the other photos don't really seem like there's anything there, like Alex is saying. And as time has gone, and as this is kind of where my newer research has kind of popped in, is like the more documents that have come out, things haven't really gotten any weirder. They've just kind of gotten more ordinary. There was a 1949 write-up in the Coast Artillery Association that said a weather balloon sent up around 1 a.m. was what, quote unquote, started all the shooting. And once the guns were hot, imagination just supplied targets in their minds, and they literally just started firing away.
So it's an own goal? It's not even like a Japanese balloon?
No, it's just it's our own. It's a weather balloon own goal again. Yeah.
I'm so glad it's not even, there wasn't even a guy. It was just.
They just shot at a weather balloon. And this is after Roswell. And so the weather balloon was used 2 years prior in 1947 for Roswell, which we did in depth, and it definitely wasn't a weather balloon at the very least. In 1983, the Office of Air Force History called the episode what it looked like in hindsight, war nerves triggered by a lost weather balloon and made louder by shells and flares. And after the war, Japan said it flew no aircraft over Los Angeles that night, which is kind of exactly what Dawn had already told people when they saw there was nothing on the ground lit by the sunlight that they shot at. So you kind of like stack all that up and you just get so at least presented a very clean story. Elwood, where it takes place, the radar contact offshore, the flare on a balloon over Santa Monica, hour or two of gunfire, and then 5 accidental deaths with no enemy wreckage. It's hard to say it was a UFO. The only evidence I would say of it being something weird is the radar contact, but I don't know how easy it is to pick up a weather balloon.
A weather balloon on radar, yeah. A weather balloon seems like it would still be pretty small, right? Like, I don't know how big a weather balloon is.
Right.
When we're talking about a weather balloon from Roswell.
Weather balloons are pretty fucking huge.
Look, this is not the kind of research usually I feel bad if I don't do enough research before.
Don't do any research.
And this is a thing that I'm ashamed to not know, but this is also something that I feel like I shouldn't be expected to research before a podcast.
Right. No.
What is a weather balloon?
Weather balloon. Oh, so yeah, that's what the people they use. They send, like, literally the government just sends out in, and then just kind of takes in data. I assume
It has like
I think, and sends
sensors
it
on
back.
it. It
Yeah,
goes
like
up. It's light. It's like cheap for what it can do and where it can be.
It's how, like, they know where, I'm assuming, like, the jet streams are in the air, and like where weather, like hot air is moving and stuff.
Okay.
And so depending on where in the atmosphere you want it determines the size of it. So if, like, the biggest they get is around 27 feet, like, tall, to a human, it's like,
that's pretty tall.
4 times your size. It gets very, very big.
Perfect, like, thing that is real that could be a UFO. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I wish I could have, again, I wish I could have done more research, because my father was in the FBI, and I would have liked to ask him for more insight on, like, Roswell and what they know about on the inside, because
oh man,
he has, like, full clearance. My uncle who works at the FBI, but we don't talk much anymore. He's estranged from my mother, because I'm so sorry to take so long to get to the punchline, because my mother saw him. We thought we saw him kissing another woman, and their marriage never recovered. But he maintained to the last that what he was kissing was in fact a weather balloon.
God damn it.
Somehow we doubted him.
Good night, everybody.
That's all I can contribute.
God.
I apologize.
God damn you. I was so invested. I was like, oh shit.
I'm so sorry.
Honestly, though, I think it's good that you asked what a weather balloon is, because I feel like that is one of those questions that you just kind of never, like, ask.
Yeah, people
like,
just,
what's swamp gas? What's a weather balloon?
right?
Yeah.
Which we have gone into detail and learned about swamp gas many a time.
Yeah.
What Swamp Thing? Because I love that guy.
Is he a superhero?
Is he a guy
avatar,
or is he a thing?
He's the avatar of the green. He thought he was a guy for a long time, and then he discovered that he was actually just a copy, and the guy was long dead, and he just had his memories, and he was just a bunch of slop trying to be a human in the swamp, and he fell in love.
That's cool.
I think it was very, very kind of Abby
Beautiful.
Arcane to still fall for him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, she's connected to the dark, and so it's there's a lot going on, but out there. I really wish they never canceled that show. Shout out to Derek Mears, the fantastic television show.
Not nearly as much Swamp Thing in it as I would have liked to see, but I understand every shot of that suit would have been $1 million.
Yeah. Then they said we didn't say 40 million, we said 14 million, and that's why the show got canceled.
Really? Oh,
that's like literally what happened. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
That's fuck wild.
That's ridiculous. Oh my God.
I need to try the opposite with my salary one of these days.
Yeah.
Dude, I still have that. It's not there's no punchline, no joke, but you did remind me when you were saying your dad was in the FBI that I still have that thing that I was given at that live show last year.
Oh yeah.
Secretly, and he left, and
yeah.
I've never done anything with it. At all?
We talked about it briefly.
We talked about it off camera, but never on camera because we didn't know what to do. I don't really.
Well, yeah. We don't know what it is, but
we were given. A gentleman came up to me that was supposedly Air Force or something. He had an Air Force hat on or whatever, and I think he talked to Jesse, and
I remember talking to him too. Yeah,
he walked up to me and said, "Are you?" I think he said, "Are you Mike or Mathis?" I couldn't remember which one. I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he reached out to shake my hand, and like a fucking spy movie, he hands me a piece of paper. As I look down to read it, and I look back up, he's gone. I never got his name. He just left.
Batmaned you.
He did, and there's just like.
Don't say what it says. Don't say what it says.
An address with a very specific time reference that has yielded interesting results in my research over the course of a year that I don't really know anything to do with. It's just very strange, and I don't know. It's very, very weird. It's very, very weird. So, but there's no. I guess the punchline is he was my dad.
That guy was Abby's dad.
That would be so good if it was Abby's dad.
Well, how inflatable did his date look?
Not very. No, you'd only go up to the lower atmosphere.
He handed you the note and just retreated to the stratosphere.
Dude, I looked and I didn't even see the back of his head. He was just gone. In
that
the crowd.
rules.
I was just like, what the fuck? What?
I saw the same guy. He also like said something to me like I'm gonna give Mathis something, you know, like, and I think Jesse said something similar to him. Just super, super crazy.
Yeah, very weird.
That's not the first time that's even
do you
happened.
feel you look less trustworthy?
Me?
That only Mike could get the note.
I think it's actually like opposite. I'm crazy enough where no one would believe me.
If I do look less trustworthy, then why do all the crazy people come up and talk to me in the bars? Why is it always me? You know, I feel like there is something about me that is approachable. It might be my garish dress and my friendly Lebowski-esque appearance, but I don't know. I'll be sitting. I dead ass was sitting down at dinner one time in a restaurant, inside the restaurant, not even like on the patio, and a man came in from off the street, sat next to me, just because there happened to be one open seat next to me, put his arm around me, and like started eating my food. And we were like, and
dude,
like,
I'd be freaking out. I'd be like, what's happening right now?
I just couldn't believe my eyes. Like, coincidentally, the bartender was like my neighbor, and he was like on this man, but it was and like just like secured him and asked him to leave. But it was like some crazy shit, and he was like asking me questions about what it was like in Japan and like all this stuff that I didn't know, you know. And
weird. What is it like weird, in Japan? Dude. I don't know.
I don't know. I hear it's humid. I hear it's quite humid.
Quite humid. Oh, can't go. Can't go.
It's already too humid here.
I'm now obsessed with the idea. Like, I go to the bathroom and like some smooth talker just like takes my seat, is talking to my date or something, and I walk out and I'm like, who am I?
Yeah, that's literally what exactly what happened. Somebody got up for like 5 seconds, and a man walks in off the street and sits down, takes a bite of my freaking short rib sandwich.
Not even fries. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Fight that man.
I'm glad I don't kind of have that aura.
I think you
have to prorate your salmon.
I think he wanted me to abandon it. I think he wanted me to like, you know, he wanted the whole sandwich. Yeah.
Back to aliens?
Yeah, back to aliens. I don't know.
Before we wrap up on the Battle of LA, the only other thing that points to maybe something not human is a lot of just secondary witness accounts that have about as much weight as anything else here. A lot of stories that came way after the event happened itself, that kind of elaborate on these things that are not super detailed. They're not, it's like little newspaper clippings of just like a few quotes here and there that aren't worth super jumping into. But I did want to compare it to another thing that happened 14 years later in LA that shows human kind of interference that is a little bit more of a obvious human fuck up, or not fuck up, but there was more evidence of a human target that they were firing at. 14 years later, LA sky would light up again with ordnance, but this time, everything that fell was our own shit. Palmdale is the flip side of what I would call the Battle of LA, and it's worse in a way because everything that fell was ours.
Did you say Palmdale?
Palmdale.
Palmdale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The run. Why is that not part of LA? Technically,
no, it is. It is.
Okay.
I'm just like, so this happened in Palmdale, California, is what you're saying?
Yes. In 1956.
It's pretty. It's like on the other side of the forest, north.
Gotcha.
Like if you know where like Lancaster is, that's Palmdale.
Sure. The runaway began at Point Mugu just before noon. That's how you say it, I hope, right?
Mugu.
Mugu, yeah. On August 16th, 1956, a high-visibility red Grumman F-6F 5K Hellcat target drone lifted off at 11:34 in the morning for a routine test over the Pacific Ocean. Controllers lost command shortly after takeoff, and the drone drifted into a climbing turn toward the basin. And with no Navy chase available, Oxnard Air Force Base scrambled 2 Northrop F-89D Scorpions from the 437th Fighter Interceptor Squadron. First Lieutenant Hans Einstein with radar observer First Lieutenant C.D. Murray and First Lieutenant Richard Hurleman with First Lieutenant Walter Hale. They ran south and afterburner, intercepted the slow unmanned Hellcat around 30,000 feet northeast of LA. The red drone arced over Santa Paula, then Fillmore and Frazier Park, trending for the western Antelope Valley. The goal was to wait for open country before shooting. Each Scorpion carried these like 2.5-inch Mark IV, they called Mighty Mouse, folding fin rockets, controlled by the new Hughes E6 fire control system. There is a few listeners out here who are getting rock hard listening to me say all these specs.
Oh my God. I had a Titanic thing when I was in like 6th grade. I just
exactly
the same thing. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Growth spurt early.
Yeah. Good time.
And the fire, they also had an APG-40 radar, a combination designed to like ripple unguided rockets at bomber formations. In automatic mode, the system offered tail chase and 90-degree beam shots, quote unquote beam shots. The drone's beam shots. The drone's constant turning fouled the whole setup, though. The automatic firing failed. The retrofits had also replaced the jet's optical sights. So once the crews switched to manual fire, they had no more optical sights to fucking use to fire at this thing. So they were just firing
like blindly
unguided rockets by feel. They were firing unguided rockets.
How many people were living here at the time? Palmdale is not a like unpopulated place.
Yeah. Well, of course, we'll keep going here and you'll see. Across 3 attack runs, they fired by vibes 208 rockets without visibly striking the drone one time.
What the fuck?
They eventually ran low on fuel, so they had to turn back, and the Hellcat, fuel-starved, began spiraling down and crashed 8 miles east of Palmdale Regional Airport, severing Southern California Edison lines along an unpaved stretch of Avenue P before breaking apart in the sand.
Oh my God.
The rockets did the damage the intercept couldn't. The first salvos lit about 150 acres northeast of Castaic above the Old Ridge route near Bear Banquet Canyon. A second wave reached the ground near Newhall and Placerita Canyon, where impacts were seen bouncing along the roadside, starting new spot fires, and setting Indian Oil Company sumps ablaze and pushing flames to within roughly 300 feet of the Bermite powder explosive plant.
Oh my God. That could have been horrific.
That's what I'm saying. It's one of those situations where it's like, okay, so you got this new system in, and instead of keeping a redundant older system, you just removed it. So now when the system fails, they just fire rockets by feel.
Well, wherever they feel like they need to shoot them.
Yeah, exactly.
Even at the explosives factory.
It wouldn't even stop there because other rockets started fires near Soledad Canyon and Mount Gleason that burned more than 350 acres.
Holy shit.
Yes, this is a huge disaster that happened. When the final shots went out facing Palmdale, fragments and duds fell across the town. Residents on 3rd and 4th Street East reported shrapnel tearing through front rooms and garages. A motorist on State Route 138 had a tire shredded and holes punched clean through the bodywork. 2 workers in Placerita Canyon had just stepped away from the utility truck when a rocket hit and destroyed it. It took about 500 firefighters 2 days to corral roughly 1,000 acres of brush fire started by this.
How is this not like the biggest fuck up in like military? How do we not know about this? Like, how does not everyone know about this?
Because it's not the biggest.
And it's also this part is probably another big reason. Miraculously, nobody got killed. Nobody died. Only 15 of the 208 rockets were later recovered undetonated.
208?
Yes. Only 15 didn't detonate, too.
I think the no casualty thing means this is actually the best military screw up.
Right, it's true. Yeah, wow. It's true.
Killer.
And like the Battle of LA, like headlines and retrospectives over time have dubbed this the Battle of Palmdale.
That's fucking hilarious.
I couldn't stand the movie Red Dawn, but I think it would be a significantly more entertaining movie if it was this scenario where they're just like, the Russians invaded. They took over the school. We got to hide in the woods and ignore the newspaper.
Drone. It's just a runaway unmanned drone. Oh
we
my
have
God.
to take cover in the California poppy reserves. Head to Antelope Valley.
Yes.
Could this be like a Naked Gun kind of style movie?
Ooh, yeah.
Where like it's this runaway thing and nobody can stop it.
Whoever decided to call it the Battle of Palmdale is such a fucker. Such a fucking asshole. Such a fucking
he hated Palmdale.
Yeah, the Battle of Palmdale. Shot a bunch of missiles and started fires.
The brave men and women of Palmdale, ladies and gentlemen.
I was reading that shit, dude, I could not believe. It was like, holy shit, there's so much damage. Why did nobody talk? Oh, nobody died. That's why nobody talked about it. It's crazy though. Like, it's just nuts. But this is another fuck up where there's just fucking, there's evidence everywhere of them fucking up everywhere. Now, they say a transmitter failure on the ground or a receiver fault aboard the drone has been cited as the probable cause of why the drone just took off. The rest became a case study in where like early Cold War intercept doctrine broke down over populated terrain. They literally use this as an example of like, okay, if they attack us over a city, we can't do what we were going to do, which was just fucking fire rockets at them. We need to figure out a way to like not kill everybody at the same time. And the LA Times long look back in 2005 makes the point plain. And aviation historians, quoting Edwards AFB researcher Peter Merlin, have kept the line locals used that afternoon because it matches the scene as people described it. Quote, Mighty Mouse rockets fell like hail all over downtown Palmdale.
That is fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. It is insane. You compare it with the Battle of LA where nothing really happened and nothing was seen. This is just pure chaos, unadulterated until they ran out of fuel. That was the reason they stopped. Is they, well, we're out of fuel.
And then he crashed.
And then the drone crashed on its own.
Yeah.
No, the drone crashed.
No, the Hellcat crashed too, right?
No. It was just the drone that went down.
I thought you said the Hellcat ran out of fuel, started spiraling, and crashed 8 miles to the east.
The Hellcat ran out of fuel, had to go back and refuel, and while it was refueling, the drone ran out of fuel and then started spiraling and crashing. My bad if I made it sound more confusing than it was.
I think this is the building block of a healthy society. I think, they united to attack a common enemy, not one that was real, but,
right, but hey, one.
They came together. They got rid of a lot of ammunition that would only have been used to shoot each other. I think we should
further away from war.
Yeah, I think we should every city should just have like battle drills once a year where everyone just gets all their guns and shoots at an invisible target.
And you look at everybody on the streets and you go like this, just point at them and go, hey. See?
Yeah.
See? Yeah. It's like a modern day, like less violent version of a head on a pike. And nobody has to die. And nobody has to die. And you can shoot at the explosion factory all day long.
You know what would be a lot
love
cheaper?
That so much.
Yeah.
How about just therapy?
That's good. I mean, yeah, sure. That's good
I'm
too.
just throwing it out there. I don't know. Maybe it's just like guns and shooting guns in the air is better.
Men will literally blow up the explosion factory instead of
they
going
really will.
there.
Yeah. I will say,
frankly, so would I.
At what point during their flight did you think they reached the point of like, you just want to like fire some fucking rockets around and just start like
shoot
aiming?
208 rockets at downtown Palmdale, man?
Like, if we just aim for like the forest, it'll be fine, right? I always wanted to just like fucking fire these things. At what point, like you had to think, at what point did a rocket hit an unintended spot and cause damage that they not go, we should not do this anymore? They really went full hog and just kept going anyway.
The military is meant to be super regimented, right? You got to obey. They shave your head so you like de-individualize. Like,
it's not
I would spend the entire time on the job, like in charge of all these tanks. Just like, come on, what's the worst that had happened? Just let me go ham.
Just shoot it once.
It's
just an explosion factory.
Listen, when are we ever gonna? They're not gonna know.
How bad can it be?
It's the 1950s. Nobody fucking has a camera on them.
Nobody's got an iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking just do it, dude. And they did.
Amen.
But sometimes the LA sky performs for smaller audiences, and in the canyons and neighborhoods where local geographies become part of the phenomenon itself. Topanga's Canyon Wave starts with calls and a byline. Early summer 1992, the phones at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Lost Hills Malibu station light up with people describing lights and objects over Topanga's Canyon. The date that gets repeated later is June 14th. The community paper, the Topanga Messenger, begins running items about it in their paper, and former editor Colin Penno writes on the cluster and keeps returning to it through that summer as more accounts come in. So they're starting to see lights over Topanga's Canyon at night. More and more people are seeing them. They're calling into the cops.
Is it Topanga's Canyon or is it Topanga Canyon?
Topanga Canyon?
I think it's Topanga. I think it's Topanga Canyon.
I'm probably just... I don't have an S. I'm literally adding an S on my own. I'm realizing there's no S on my script. Topanga Canyon. I'm thinking Topanga because I'm thinking of fucking Topanga from Boy Meets World, and I'm just being like,
well, she is also just Topanga.
Yeah,
but I'm like giving her the canyon. I'm like, it's her canyon, like in my head for some reason.
That's where she's at.
It is now. Whoever it was named after before, not anymore.
The community paper, the Topanga Messenger, begins running items about this, and former editor Colin Penno writes on the cluster of lights and keeps returning to it through that summer as more accounts keep coming in. The bigger dailies start taking notice, and the Los Angeles Times runs short pieces and columns flagging that the Topanga small paper is treating unidentified lights as real news, and that neighbors are now swapping stories of odd movements over the ridge line and even abduction claims to the sheriff's station after dinner on the coast. So who else do you send in but fucking MUFON and a field investigator from MUFON named Preston Dennett, which is one of the most MUFON goddamn names anyone could have.
If you're in MUFON and your name's Preston Dennett, it's like, you're like, I feel like you're fully actualized. I feel like you've got like a little brush mustache and some spectacles, and you dress very well, and you're no nonsense, and you kind of look like Bob Hoskins a little bit. Somewhere between Bob Balaban and Bob Hoskins, somewhere in there. And yeah, you know. Do you know
what MUFON is, Abby? How deep in the UFO world are you?
I assume it's next door to Point Mugu we were talking about.
Yeah, same thing. MUFON is the Mutual UFO Network. And it recently came out that they have been working with the government on collecting data on stuff. But this is 1992, so maybe not at this point in time they're working with the government.
They're like the friendly, non-secret Men in Black, kind of.
Yes, correct. Yeah, a field investigator from MUFON named Preston Dennett started going and collecting names. He's knocking on doors, he starts recording interviews, filing his own reports with MUFON, and turns the material into a book in 1999 that treats the Topanga incident as a long-running hotspot with a peak that begins on June 14th, 1992. The structure of the book shows what witnesses were actually describing. Chapter titles point to what made it memorable for the people who were lived through it. They're literally names of little quotes from the people. A night when the wave begins, more accounts of the same night that kind of read like confirmation with no hard evidence, and a run of follow-on sightings that stretch across the following weeks after the peak sighting in 1992, June 14th. Accounts where people claim contact inside homes and on the road. A chapter about missing time on Grandview Drive. And then there's one even about a helicopter that supposedly chased a UFO in the area around that time as well, though I couldn't find any specific paperwork
probably
via
he didn't
FOIA
fire
or anything.
4,000 rounds at the fucking thing.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like there was any FOIA requests or anything. I couldn't find anything about a helicopter out at that point in time. It's possible I've just failed in the research, but I tried finding something. And then there's even reports in Santa Monica that suggest that the activity spilled south and west toward the flats. Topanga's geography is kind of part of the story in every interview as well. It's a kind of compact community in the Santa Monica Mountains with a single main road that crosses from the Pacific Coast Highway to the valley floor, and the canyon walls make kind of like windows. A light that raises up behind a ridge can appear and vanish in seconds. The geometry of the land itself basically is squiggly and can cause a lot of interesting visual illusions. And because it's squiggly and weird, something people don't also think about is sound also carries very, very weirdly in that area, in some areas. Witnesses don't even agree on the shape or size of what they saw, but the recurring features of what they saw are consistent. Bright, silent lights that pace a driver for a short stretch along Topanga Canyon Boulevard, objects that cross the saddle between roads without engine noise, a silent thing crossing the road, points in the sky that brighten as they approach, then climb and disappear. And Dennett appears in more than one local piece to say that he watched the same thing himself during the peak while driving the boulevard at night, convinced at first that he was just looking at an aircraft on approach until it rose sharply and was gone. Which is what a lot of people say is these things look like crafts coming closer, whatever, and then boom, it shoots up straight in the sky and it disappears. The same articles record a second-hand sighting as well from a Topanga employer who says a bright, soundless light appeared while a small film crew was resetting a camera and was gone before they could even roll again. Even sympathetic coverage notes that there is no photographs that came out of any of these moments at all. The paper trail shows how the wave kind of becomes even a community event. The Messenger keeps on publishing it because it's causing sales to rise.
It's probably fun. It probably feels fun. It's probably
for a small
vibes.
community like that. We're naming
vibes. Yeah,
exactly.
Was this before or after the 92 riots? Time.
Ooh, I don't know when the 92 riots were.
Because I always think of that as summer just because people.
It was April, I think, for the riots. Hold on.
Let's see. April 29th, 1992. And this is June. So this is after the riots.
Shout outs. Sublime.
Yeah, so like you said, it's fun. So obviously they keep publishing on it. Then the LA Times mentions the book that was written and summarizes what's in it for people, describing several dozen instances out of the book collected in the interviews, and noting that some in the set go well beyond lights in the sky that do go to reporting abductions.
There's probably a nice little deep dive in there of you know.
We could probably do one episode on a Topanga Canyon event. You know, this is kind of just like a highlighted version of it. Local and regional media then amplify the hotspot framing and fix Topanga's reputation inside a much larger city that is already fluent in UFO lore. There isn't a single clinching video, though, or even a radar plot point to like show that something was picked up. What there is a thick stack of testimony placed on a map that makes sense to the people who live there, and that's about it.
There's almost nowhere that you go off the road. Like, it's just houses. Like, it's a great drive.
That's what it sounds like.
Like, if you go from Malibu through to like Woodland Hills or like Calabasas way, right? There's a bunch of like bougie little places to go have lunch or whatever, but it really is like very different. And that's kind of a thing about LA that's kind of unique in a way, is that there's these like canyons. There's Topanga Canyon, there's Laurel Canyon, there's Benedict Canyon, there's all these canyons, Runyon Canyon, there's all these canyons that just like, it's like city, and then like nothing, like nature, like really craggy nature. And then you like pop out on the other side, you're still in the city. And it's where like most of the weird stuff, you like, as we go through this month, you'll see like how much of like what's weird about LA is centered in like places that are like outside of the city but are in the city. It's really kind of unique. It's interesting.
Yeah. Thank you so much to today's sponsor, Hero Forge. Man, I don't even know what to say about Hero Forge that you haven't heard me say, but I'm going to come over here and glaze the shit out of them literally for the next 60 to 120 or so seconds, because I genuinely love Hero Forge. I've been using it for years, well before they worked with us. I am a tabletop RPG nerd. I play so many different kinds. I run one every Saturday on a separate stream. Like, I run a ton and play a ton of games. So minis has been something that have been part of my life since I was 13 years old when I got my very first TTRPG book. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, any brands. So, my first one around that era. You don't know how old I am, so you don't know what. Anyway, just go to HeroForge.com. Even if you don't want to necessarily buy any minis, but you're curious if you can maybe put to vision your own character and just see if you can maybe make a mini that looks like it. Or if you're DM, if you wanted to make a bunch of like goblins or something, you could definitely go check it out. And you can just go ahead and model it for free on there. And then if you like it and you want it, there are a ton of options that you can get, from like uncolored plastics to premium colored plastics. They even have brass for other stuff. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do. And they have custom dice now, which is also sick. Like, they sent me one with an alien in it. It's kind of sick. And if you don't want to buy the physical like figure itself, but you have a 3D printer at home, you can literally just buy the digital file for so much cheaper if you just want to do that and print them at home. I kind of go back and forth between like, because I have a 3D printer at home, but I don't do like premium colors and all that stuff. I just do like grayscale. But if I want to do like premium stuff, I always just get it right from Hero Forge. Go check it out, please. Do us, the show, even me, just to like check it out. If you just want to go look at Hero Forge, see if it's as good as I'm telling you it's been, please go do so. Head over to HeroForge.com right now. And if you do buy something, use code CHILL and you get a little bit off on your purchase. And obviously it goes towards supporting us in the show. Thank you, Hero Forge, for sponsoring. It's been a pleasure to keep working with you. And I'm actually got to go make a few minis right now. And honestly, the Topanga Canyon case is very much, there's a mini version to me of like the Phoenix Lights, where everybody sees something on one night really in particular. And then there's some trailing reports the days and weeks after, but really the story is about that one day. Do you know the story of the Phoenix Lights, Abby?
I don't. I'm excited to learn. I'll admit that it just sounds like a video game.
So in the 90s, if I remember correctly, let me double check.
Yeah, this was like 97, I think, something like that. This was in
1997. Yep.
There's the UFO that went I'm sorry.
There's also the Miles lights, the Edgeworth lights. Yeah.
This was
prosecuting.
97, and this was a UFO sighting over Phoenix, Arizona, where over 1,000 people saw something. A huge UFO that silently just went over it. There's some like VHS recordings that are really hard to find that are like out there. Like the military showed up afterward and whatnot. It's like well documented. Who was it? There was an actor who's also a pilot who flew in and also saw it and like talks about it. Might have been Kurt Russell.
It was somebody like that. It was not Harrison Ford, but it was like someone of that ilk, one of those people who like hops in a plane sometimes. And I remember also the mayor or somebody like
it was Kurt Russell. It was Kurt Russell. Yeah,
the mayor like covered
pilot it up. And he saw them in the air. Yeah. So like this feels like a smaller scale of that, where like there's this bang of like everybody sees something in the sky. But this is because it was small and more out of the way. It didn't really get huge beyond the book being brought up in the LA Times.
Yeah, I don't want to sell short the potential for like mass hysteria, right? I don't want to like say it could, because it really could be nothing. Right.
It literally could be nothing.
It's hard to corroborate because, like, if a newspaper editor calls you on the phone and is like, "Hi, I'm writing an article. Have you seen balls?" I'm like, "Well, I'm a grown adult.
Yeah, from time to time, I
occasionally
I hear of them.
I glimpse a ball. I hear tell a ball.
I don't want people to know I'm a nerd.
Yeah,
exactly.
But I don't know. Like, it just feels like even if like it feels pretty clear that people thought something was happening for real. It doesn't feel like a bunch of people cashed in on something. But I think that mass hysteria is as fascinating almost as
absolutely
as a real sighting in a way. So
but even tangentially, even my own minimal experience, it is impossible to describe what it is you're seeing without sounding dumb because of just like there's no terminology be like lights that moved in this way and hovered, and like when you say that, a person's gonna be like, yeah, that sounds like a plane or a drone or literally anything. Unless you're literally watching it, like actively, and being actively weird in front of you, it's very hard to describe. What you see in 1992, there's no you don't have a camera in your pocket.
Yeah.
You can't flip that thing open and just immediately start recording. So all you have is people fucking talking about it. Interesting. But that's, go ahead, Alex.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you're in Topanga Canyon, go to Endless Color to get some food because it's a great place to go.
What kind of food?
It's like pizza and like burgers and stuff. And then if you're in Acton and you're on your way to the Vasquez Rocks, or like I said earlier, the Antelope Valley poppy fields, like which are like a little bit west of Palmdale, go to Crazy Otto's Diner. There you go. LA month.
You have to bring me to those places. Yeah, you have to bring me to these places, Alex. I can't go without
I'll take you. If you when you are here, if you want to go get a nice little diner meal, I will take you. That's my forte.
I love, dude.
What's your best diner? Is that your favorite?
My favorite diner, period. I don't know. I think I like Nick's Cafe and like by State Historic Park.
Ooh.
But then there's also Ray's in Santa Monica that I like, and I like the Mel's on the Strip. I like the one that used to be that other diner that's like has like the valet that's like right on the Sunset Strip. I think that one's kind of
nice.
To my fellow Rhode Island listeners, I don't know if these exist anymore, but my favorite diners in Rhode Island were the Blue Onion. Thank you for every 3 a.m. post D&D breakfast I ever had.
Blue Onion, what a name.
And Kit's out in Pawtucket. I don't know if they exist anymore either. God knows what exists out in Rhode Island anymore.
What's yours?
There's a tea room in the Marks and Spencer in Halifax in West Riding, Yorkshire, in the UK, and my grandma likes going to that tea room, and she's turning 100 tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't know if she goes there anymore. I'm going to find out what health she is in very soon. I am bracing myself to discover what new ailments she's developed.
Are you sure that somebody's not writing a novel about you right now?
I hope so. I hope to entertain them. I've been making disastrous choices. I was so happy to see my grandma get old and miserable because like all my life, she was she was doing grandma stuff. She was like, I don't know. It used to be her thing. She'd go, I don't know. And I've picked that up when I'm disciplining children. She had to discipline the children. And then as I was an adult, she was mellow, because she didn't really have any responsibilities. She was old, retired. Then now that she can't really look after herself that well. And it's very frustrating to be like, I don't want 8 prunes in my oatmeal. I want 6 prunes, you moron, you fool. Why would you give me the wrong number of prunes? And she's just so angry all the time and so sarcastic. And I always wondered where I got that from in myself, because my parents are both very mild mannered. And it means so much to me to know that it came from my grandma. Yeah.
It's in the genes somewhere.
That's amazing that you're going to arrive in the country, in the area, on her birthday.
Very, very excited to get to see her.
HBD.
Thank you. I'll pass on.
Tell her I said HBD.
Yeah. She'll be very excited to learn what that means.
Yeah.
Now, this next one is actually not one we did in a live show, but a small story that I grabbed because it's very close to home for you, Alex.
Oh, good.
This is another, as small as Topanga was, there's even a more intimate, weird thing happened in 1974 out in where else but Culver City.
Uh-oh, my hometown.
There's a house in Culver City in 1974 when a woman named Doris Bither tells investigators that something in her home is attacking her. The call routes through the small parapsychology circle orbiting UCLA's Neuropsychiatric Institute at the time, and two names that repeat in every retelling show up at her door, Barry Taff and Kerry Gaynor. Their approach is exactly what you'd expect from like that eras of like ghost hunting before there was a TV template to follow. This is 1974 to remind you. Interviews at the kitchen table were had, walkthroughs of the home, notes about temperature, drops in temperature, knocks where they're happening, attempts to set up cameras when the stories say that the activity peaks at night because, again, they're running on film. So they have to be able to run the camera only where they have enough roll to have. It's not like that a huge digital storage.
Almost like a non-starter to me. That seems almost so impossible to do that it seems crazy. That's why they could only do it where the reported peaks were. But even then, that feels like, that sucks, man. Because like, what if something happens? Yeah, the equipment list itself is very basic. Instant film for quick shots, 35 millimeter for anything they hope to analyze later, and infrared stock to try and pull something out of the dark that a flash might wash away. So they like the old school equipment, man. And what they say they got are photographs of light where there wasn't a light source, bands and arcs in a room that shouldn't have them, streaks that appear across the frame in front of Doris, sometimes giving the impression that the light has structure to it, as if something long and bright had been waved through the picture. Those images are the ones that get reproduced in magazines and books for the next 40 years. They look exactly like a thing you would want to believe if you already believed the story. It's your classic kind of plasma, blurry smudge in the picture. Taff and Gaynor also say they tried infrared and that what should have been the best stock for the job was botched. The film became overexposed and there was nothing to save. The closest they come to a control shot is a set of empty room frames and photographs of the same space when nothing unusual is reported. The difference in their telling is just the light. Doris's claims are the part that still make people tense when this whole case comes up. She says she was assaulted by something she could not see. In some accounts, there were 3 figures involved, 2 holding her down while a third carried out the attack. In others, but then in other accounts, it's a single presence that returned at night. There are retellings that add a detail about a greenish frog-like form coalescing at the edge of a bed and then dissolving when the lights came on. And
can't live alone in this house, ma'am. You got Shreks.
No way.
Like dissolving Shrek infestation. Unfortunate. Those are the parts of the story that traveled the furthest, obviously, after the book and the movie, because there was a movie made about it at some point. And they are also the parts with the least independent support or any evidence at all. There are no medical records in the public file that I could find that resolve any of what she says one way or another. There are no police reports that make take that claim and make it into a document. What there is just a consistent narrative from Doris and a set of photographs that don't prove what they're often said to prove. And the skeptical work on these photographs is kind of hard to ignore if you care about the difference between, a strong case and a strong story. Photo analysts who've gone back through them point to the ordinary ways a band or arc of light can appear in an instant on 35 millimeter stock that has been shot in a cramped, dark room. Basically, a thin object close to the lens can take a flash and bloom, reading as a bright bar, quote unquote, that looks like it floats in midair. A bumped exposure or a dirty roller inside an instant film pack can leave a glowing smear that has nothing to do with the scene in front of the camera at all. And a camera strap, a pendant, a length of string near the lens can easily flare so brightly that it looks like something independent of the photographer. And without negatives, chain of custody, repeatable setups, the pictures are more now about how cameras can create convincing illusions more than showing that there's an actual ghost.
Stories are more horrific than the pictures by a lot.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's why I went looking for medical records. Not that that's easy to fucking find those things, but I try to
it's worth trying to verify. Yeah.
Yeah. And even if you give I think the most generous reading to the investigators, the result's still the same. There still really isn't a single frame in their photos that bears the weight to claim that they were definitely photographing the phenomenon as it was happening in front of them. The surrounding facts make the case heavier too. Doesn't become easier. Doris lived a hard life. By every account that was put in print, she was tight on money. The house was in rough shape. She was raising children inside, stressed that it would have buckled like most families at the time. And if you spent time around people who were barely keeping a roof over their head, you know the atmosphere. I lived in that my whole life. You know, like it's just fucking tense. And
It's rough.
that can, like, you know, from my own experience, that can cause mental breaks in like the mother in the household. There was also the house was kind of in disarray. And to her, every night, every sound she heard at night carried a story of like proof of the haunting. Days where small problems started to feel like curses that she couldn't shake. It doesn't mean that she was making anything up, right? Per se. It means
I've
that a
felt
story
similar
like this
to
was
this without any sort of paranormal presence around me.
exactly. It just means that like a story like this was growing where fear was already doing half the work for her, like where her life was already creating the atmosphere. And if you do go on the other side and do believe that there was a haunting, it's these kinds of atmospheres, as we've seen with more believable hauntings, that poltergeists seem to pop up. That these more trickstery, malevolent-y, it's hard to call them spirits. They almost seem manifestations of energy.
They
that
almost
just like,
seem internal, don't they?
yeah, they almost like projected internalized, like projected outward.
Like, you know, we were talking about servitors.
Yes.
We were doing an episode on chaos magic recently, Abby, and we were talking about.
Oh yeah, the keepers are the seven chow.
Yeah, exactly.
The servitors
Yes. Right.
protect them. Yeah,
Erase them. Yeah, and then no, but the servitors, like you can, like, they're like programmable spell automatons that can do small tasks, basically. And maybe what if poltergeist or something like that you don't intend, like
Thought
something,
forms.
yeah, like some kind of malevolent thought form that's like generated, you know?
If you've heard of a tulpa before, also similar to that. Yeah. That's servitors are dumber tulpas. They're not allowed to get tulpa intelligence. They're very basically built for a single object, like to help you stop procrastinating, as our example is in the episode.
I had a malevolent tulpa for many years. It was a rabbit named Harvey. He was a puka, as you can see.
Yeah.
But he was causing so much trouble for me and
like,
threatening my life. So I actually had to make a
Harvey.
second, stronger tulpa to hunt the first tulpa. But then I had to deal with that guy. So I had to make a third tulpa.
Did you finally end the tulpa line, or are you on like your 60th
I made
tulpa?
the sixth tulpa, and this was very brilliant, I think. The sixth tulpa was edible. And that took care of the whole
That wrapped
thing.
it up.
so
The perfect
fucking
crime.
smart.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I also solved world hunger.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're just
Actually
like,
genius.
it's there. It's real.
the think
I can eat
system.
it. Yeah.
I can eat it. That's like breatharians.
That's the secret. That's the secret from the book, The Secret.
It is and chaos magic. Yeah. So this is like one of those cases where like I truly think a lot of just like the event, like just a lot of the atmosphere of the house and just her life caused a lot of like the fertile ground in which
Did you
the
say
story was able to
exactly
grow.
where this was?
Culver City. That's all. I didn't give you an address. I didn't give an address because
interested
I
in
don't
what-
know if
I'm
anybody
interested in
lives
what
there
neighborhood.
anymore.
I'm just interested in the neighborhood because I it's hard for me to imagine, like, you know, driving around Culver City and encountering like ghostly vibes. It's a very like sort of idyllic place. I don't know. It doesn't feel very
It
scary.
was
to me.
this very house, Alex.
Oh shit! That's why you hear voices, dude.
This green guy is waving at us.
Do you
from
still
behind.
hear? Are you still hearing the voices in
No,
the mumbling chatter?
It usually sounds like somebody moving, and it's like, I do live in an apartment, right? And it does have thin walls, but like, I don't know, like it sounds more like when your dog is somewhere in the house and you like,
And the dog talks.
you know, like when you're like, hey, where are you? And your dog like just kind of like shifts and doesn't even come into your room, but you know they're like alive now. Like that kind of sound where it's definitely in my house is like what I keep hearing. And then, yeah, I've heard a couple voices, but mostly not. Mostly it's been weird things happening and me hearing like something or seeing. Me and Kelly have like both, like, we've been like, did you just see that? Like a couple times. Or we both saw like a movement.
I've not heard or seen a thing every time I've stayed at your place, not once, but I hope one day.
Maybe you're too thirsty, man. Like I feel like
it might
there's
be,
a vibe
man.
there.
It might be.
You know how like in chaos magic they say you got to forget.
Yeah, that's the hardest part.
Yeah,
man.
you can't. You're too locked into the ghost thing. You got to play.
True. Grant
you gotta
Morrison
play
says
some-
you don't have to forget though.
You don't have to forget.
No,
it just
that-
works.
Yeah, because he's not practicing chaos magic. He practices the form of magic that chaos magic was built on. The original like stuff that the people in the 80s found and then
Like
built
spare
chaos magic
type-
around.
spare
Yeah,
type.
it was a spare. The original.
I was
dude.
there when that magic was written.
Oh shit! How old are you?
I don't know. I thought that sounded cool.
This means you're very old.
I wasn't. Yes. I'm
fantastic.
I'm 8 million. Thank you.
Yeah, you
I'm
look
8
so
million
good.
years
Oh my
old.
god.
Incredible.
Yeah, well, it's easy to age slowly when you know all the old magics.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually hear voices all the time, but I tell my roommate that I'm recording a podcast, so no one calls the police.
Smart. Very smart.
Yeah.
This little haunting case also picked up a second life about 4 years later when novelist and screenwriter Frank de Felita takes the material and turns it into The Entity in 1978.
Oh, what? The movie?
Yeah, that's the movie. I was told you it was made me
Hollywood.
Is that the single most generic title a movie ever had?
Sounds it.
No,
Yeah.
What was the one? Isn't there a movie called Plane? Did a movie come out called Plane?
Concept. Premise.
Film.
Obviously, for the sake of the movie, names were changed. The events got rearranged and kind of sharpened to tell a better movie and storyline.
I just remember the movie box from Blockbuster because it was like it doesn't show anything. It looks almost like The Thing, except it just says.
That's up there too.
On it, it just says The Entity.
Right.
And the logo looks a lot like The Thing. I don't know.
Funny.
Yeah.
Well, 4 years later, Barbara Hershey plays the lead in the film that keeps the brutality at the center of the story and adds effects, obviously, to give like more flair. That's the version most people know when people think about The Entity, because The Entity was a book first and then it was a movie. They also so that's the cinematic storytelling is what most people know, but there's not obviously any evidence that proves it other than she clearly was going through it. There are also coda notes from the investigators that turn up in interviews years later. Like Taft says he stayed in touch with the family and that the phenomena followed Doris to more than one address after she left Culver City, including a place in Carson and another in San Bernardino County.
Hey, I know Carson very well.
Hey, there we go. Those follow-ups are just anecdotes, though. Literally, there was no more investigating done. He was just kind of keeping in contact with her. No photographs, no log dates, no journal, nothing. So, like, where does that leave the case? It just kind of turns it to me more of like, I think, a traumatized individual dealing with hard times that ended up maybe projecting or like, having a bit of a mental break with how things were going. And again, 1974. They didn't know what that was. Mental health wasn't real in 1974. There was no mental health in 1974.
Take some ludes, you'll be fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, sorry, it's 2025. Take some Quaaludes, and I realized there was ambiguity there. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. Well, you are 8 million years old. This is true. I
don't know what you young people say. They say you should say "a toda madre" when you ask how you're doing. Say "a toda madre." But if they're not Mexican, they don't know what you're talking about. They say just say "bien, you moron." It's very frustrating. Very frustrating. I don't like the youth today.
Did you see the pics of the house?
Oh no!
I didn't link any pics. I didn't link any pics. Sorry.
Yeah. No. There's some pics. I just found them.
Yeah. Like the photos are, they look overexposed. Really, really like
simple light tricks that I've done on my iPhone camera before.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's it's interesting. Like a lot of them look like perfectly curved, almost lens flares a little bit.
I also love the author's recreation, which is like so anachronistic because it has a like new style Nickelodeon Ninja Turtle and a weird sick painting of Pennywise like from the recent It film in it.
It is absolutely, it stands in contrast quite a bit.
Strand of hair is a great label
Strand
for
of hair. Then moving away from little smaller haunts and toward one that we did cover on a live show as well is what else but the fucking Queen Mary.
Oh my
Obviously.
gosh.
We've talked about
the only
the Queen Mary
episode of
live
Most
show.
Haunted that you can't watch on Amazon.
Oh, really?
I don't know why it's not there. It's like, Yvette Fielding may have made the best ghost show of all time with Most Haunted, even though it has Derek Acora on it. And even though they like caught him out, like I thought that was so badass, and they've been caught faking things a lot of times. But for some reason, that Queen Mary episode specifically, I watched this show with my mom all the time when I was a kid, and that one was the one that we'd like, the Queen Mary one's on tonight. Let's crowd around and watch it for some reason. Like watching YouTube Kitchen Nightmares on repeat until I like know every moment of it. But nowadays you can't get that one. And I remember them seeing like footsteps and shit, like wet footsteps, and hearing ghostly sounds and stuff. So I don't know. It's worth if somebody out there has got that sweet bootleg of the
I would love that
Most Haunted Queen Mary episode, hook me up.
Chilluminatipod@gmail.com. Queen Mary I've never been on it, but it looks like any other ship of the size. It's fucking like a city, basically.
It's nice. It's big. It's kind of kind of like a little bit lost its luster, I would say.
Oh, sure, maybe
they do
by
a lot
now.
more like carnival-y things now than they do like elegant things. But I did go to a wedding there a couple years ago that was very nice. So, I think they can still pretty it up when they want to.
Well, when the Queen Mary left Southampton on her maiden voyage in May of 1936, she was basically a floating city with 2 pools, a ballroom, a squash court, a hospital, built for a route that became a routine. Southampton
during the Great Depression, they built this.
I don't know what you're talking about. This money's going exactly where it needs to go. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like an old-timey version of like one of those like Ark spaceships to Mars for the rich people. It's just like a gambling city on the ocean to get away from.
Think of how good we have it. Trump could be spending money on a ship. Instead, he's just building a ballroom. All right. Yeah. That's cheap comparatively.
I wish he was building a boat. I want to see him on a boat engineered by SpaceX.
I want to see him engineered by himself.
I want to see him waving and going away into the sunset.
Yeah. What are you doing on the boat, sir?
I'm building nukes on the boat.
Waving.
Which I'm going to pay for myself.
Do you remember that photo op he did like 9 years ago now where he was like riding a truck and he just goes on a tear where he's like, don't you wish you could just drive away from all this? I wish you could just.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, dude.
It's weird to think that even he is just trapped by the man that he's become.
He was wandering around on the roof the other day. He is not in control of his own faculties. He is in dementia land.
Yeah, I would not describe the Titanic as like a symbol of economic equality.
No.
But I feel like the Queen Mary is the ship that much more deserves to get Titanic.
Yes. At this point, yes.
So its route was Southampton to Cherbourg to New York and back. And in the late 1930s, she wore the blue ribbon and the kind of like celebrity traffic that followed it. In the war, she dropped her Cunard colors for gray and turned into a troop carrier, moving Allied soldiers at a really rapid pace. There's a wartime crossing where she carried more than 16,000 people at once, a human population
like a Dodger game.
Literally, I was like, that's a lot. And it's a human population larger than some towns riding in just one hull. That's how big this ship is.
If you're imagining, like, if you've ever been to Long Beach, it's still there, sitting in the harbor, like as a hotel. And if you're imagining the Titanic, that's like a very fine thing to do. It looks exactly like that thing.
Am I remembering right, Alex, a Pokemon correspondent, that the Queen Mary was the site of some of the early Pokemon national tournaments? Because I believe that there was one.
I believe that there was one there.
That's so classy.
That's very like as the SSN type vibes. Yeah, I like that.
And then you could actually tear up Exodia and throw it off beloved Pokemon Exodia.
Yeah, and then you could go down below decks and get screamed at by the souls of the dead.
What are we referencing? Pokemon?
That's what Pokemon players deserve.
Yeah, gotcha.
They
need, I think they do need a little bit more flavor in their lives. I feel like we could all go out and do things more, see each other more. You know what I mean? See each other in real life.
No. Yeah. Why would I want to go outside? I have all my toys in here.
Right. That's also very, very true.
I did spend a not small amount of my time today reorganizing my comic book. So,
I enjoy that. And I'm like, you know what? It's time to like reorganize my PC games and take them all down. It's just fun to just go through it all again.
Yeah.
I just recently decided like I want to mature up and move some of my comic books off of a shelf and have like a plant that I'd be responsible for. I'm going to start with the succulent. All right. Good. But like,
good luck.
Now I just have a big box of books and I don't know. They're at the back of my closet. I don't know what's my responsibility to these books.
It's,
display them and be proud of them.
You got to thank them and tell them, say goodbye to them or whatever.
A good night kiss every night.
Swap for swap. I do comic swap on Reddit, r/comic swap.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Oh, that's cool.
You see at the top of my shelf there, you can kind of see like there's like a bunch of like redundant comics up there that are
redundant comics.
Like, when you buy like an omnibus and you like rebuy some things that you already have so that you don't need two of it. So you kind of, and then I swap those out. It's nice.
I get that. That's a good way to trade out comics. Back to the Queen Mary. There's another war story on October 2nd, 1942, north of Ireland. The Queen Mary was running fast on a zigzag course when her Royal Navy escort, the anti-aircraft cruiser HMS Curacoa, ended up ended up dead ahead. The liner's bow cut the cruiser in half, and the aft section went down immediately. The forward half just a few minutes later. Orders to keep speed on U-boat water meant the Queen Mary radioed for help and steamed.
Hit and run?
Yeah, they could not stop. Seriously, by like wartime law, you got to go. There's a U-boats around. The Queen Mary radioed for help and steamed on with a torn bow while destroyers turned back to pull survivors from the oil and wreckage. About 100 men lived. The death toll was more than 300, though.
Jesus
and the wartime
Christ.
secrecy around the incident kept it in a long, quiet box until after 1945. Then courts argued over fault for years, and it survives now in ship histories as a collision reduced to a paragraph that feels too small for what actually happened.
Is this related to the screaming men in the hull?
Very well, literally, maybe. Literally, exactly, maybe haunted to related to that particular haunting that's talked about. Like, this is one of those two that are like, just out of pure historical curiosity, I'd love to do an episode about this one incident, like how it happened, why it was buried. Dude, I would love to. I would absolutely love to ghost hunt there.
It's probably not that expensive to stay one night, right? Like we could do that.
Yeah.
That'd be so fun.
I bring this story up because of like that haunting of like there people hear screaming men down like below deck in like the bow somewhere. After all the war was done, though, she went back to just being a liner, tried to fight the jet age, and pretty much just got lost. The city of Long Beach bought her in 1967, and she arrived in December and opened to the public 4 years later as a hotel, museum, and a sort of like living exhibit of when traveling by seas was still the glamorous way to go anywhere. That's the part that everybody still agrees on. It's just that what happens after and at night is what people debate as to what is true. There's one name you can kind of say that isn't part of the myth file, a man by the name of John Petter. He was an 18-year-old fireman and cleaner working in the aft engine room on July 10th, 1966, when a watertight door closed and crushed him. The ship's archives put his age and the date on the paper, and every tour that gets it knows the number of that door, 13. If you've been below decks on a paid walk after hours, you stood near
literally door 13?
Yep, door 13.
That's like destiny, man. That's crazy.
There's something about that number.
Yeah. If you've been on the tours, you've probably been brought near it, listened to a story about a safety drill and watch people go quiet as like they talk about the death. It's the most reliable kind of like story that this has, the ship has post it being at war. And there are other entries that have like other kind of like little bits of evidence behind them. The ship's Book of the Dead, compiled from log entries, lists passengers and crew who died on board during the sailing years.
Hieroglyphics?
Yeah, it's written in hieroglyphics. Most of them are written down as natural causes with the blunt kind of language like found dead in bunk that was written in there.
Is crushed by door natural causes?
No, that one's not
naturally
natural.
would die if you were crushed by a door.
Yeah, all death is natural.
It makes perfect
Exactly.
sense that you died that way.
We're all going to die anyway,
Heart
right?
stops, brain stops, natural death.
Yeah, if you
Natural
get
death.
mushed up, that's visceral.
You're naturally going to die from it.
Ascend to a higher level of consciousness, very unnatural.
Exactly.
That's-
If a
You're getting
ghost
it.
sucked
Elijah
my
had a
soul away-
supernatural death.
Yeah, that was wild for him.
R.I.P. to Elijah, but I'm different.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it, you guys.
A senior officer, William Eric Stark, accidentally poisoned himself in September 1949 by drinking carbon tetrachloride that had been poured into an empty gin bottle.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
No,
not.
carbon tetrachloride is the chemical symbol for gin.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is it
Pretty
clear?
much.
Is that would be so?
It has to be, right?
That would be
Or the
so
bottle itself
dumb.
was already like dark or something.
So
I don't
someone
know.
just
like-
had a bunch of poison sitting around, and they're like, "Where am I going to put it? Oh, I got a gin bottle right here."
He actually didn't die on board the ship, but actually ashore after travel. The logs traced what happened in the timeline, and it's one of those accidents that became part of the oral tour as well, long before anyone bothered to look for the primary notes as to what actually happened. And those documents matter because the rest of what people come for tends to live outside of any evidence or documents. The ship leans into that because it would be strange not to, and it's a big attractor now because they have the Haunted Encounters tour, and the night runs into compartments that aren't on the daytime map. They made an exclusive thing that you have to pay to go do. It's part of the reason to go there. The guides who know when to let silence do have to work. Like, you have to understand the guides are also trained to make it spookier by the way they're telling you stories and stuff. There's an exhibit panel for stateroom B340 on B deck that points to a mysterious, quote unquote, vague log entry in September of 1949, where a passenger was found dead in his cabin with no name, no cause, a blank that became kind of like just like part of the lore. The room's reputation grew from there. It was sealed for a stretch in the hotel years, then reopened as a premium, if you dare, booking hotel room.
Yeah, YouTubers want to show up and spend a night, look just like I just said.
Yeah, literally, they know, they understand.
YouTubers
where the money
beware, you're in for a scare.
I would have discovered it had I gone to the website, and there's probably a paranormal section on the website. I bet.
Absolutely, there is. And
I'll tell you, Mike, I've enjoyed your telling the story just because the way that we characterize ships as women, like it just been like, oh, she retired around 1967. City of Long Beach purchased her and put her on display. People wander through her every couple of days.
Let me try to take a quick note real quick and make sure I never do that again. No. Do it more.
I think buildings should be men.
Double the amount of misogynistic comments about buildings and ships.
Misogynistic comments about buildings is like
that's a podcast.
A Regina Spektor album or something. I don't know. It's like
I think you were very respectful to this object.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Perfectly.
You honored it. Yeah, you honored it.
I try,
Yeah.
And obviously, people who stay there also can now leave notes. So people swap stories about faucets and lights and knocks at the doors that happen. And that just builds into the lore of the ship continually. The pool areas are what most people picture when they say the ship is haunted. And this is where the record and the stories begin splitting. The first class pool, decommissioned long time ago, and left as a dry Art Deco set, has a reputation for small, wet footprints in a child's voice.
Yeah. This is what they saw in the fucking episode. Really, they had footage of it.
The name that gets repeated often is Jackie. And the story says a young girl drowned in the second class pool where during the sailing years. And now
second class. Imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine a second class. Imagine.
Yeah, we're all equal and absolutely not divided by class anymore. The ghost of Jackie now plays not near the second class pool where she died, but near the first class pool.
I wouldn't want to hang out where I died either. I know. That's the smartest ghost I've ever heard of.
Yeah, get me out of there, dude. I would not want to be there at all.
I get bad vibes. Place is haunted.
Yeah, I feel like somebody died here. I'm going to go play upstairs. There's also another popular story about a father who murdered his wife and two daughters in a cabin identified in modern tours as cabin B474. It's been told on board as a reason to expect small voices in a hallway at night. That one actually has a paper trail too, just not the one that people I think would hope for. The murder did happen and the names do match, but it was in Roanoke, Virginia in 1964 and not on the ship itself. The only link to the Queen Mary in the logs from that week is a telegram to the purser asking the ship's doctor to be ready to support the children's grandmother, who was a passenger at the time, and to keep news of the murders from reaching her until family could meet her in port. So it was literally a telephone game that was like, grandma of this family's on the ship. Don't tell her until she's there, and then she can learn about her family getting murdered by this guy out in Virginia. And then somehow, because I think it was just told to her and she was on the ship, somehow the story became he murdered his family on the ship, but that's not true.
Wow. That is like so perfectly on theme for the type of stuff we talk about when we talk about like murderers and stuff like Zodiac and JFK, where just like people are just like, yeah, that's cooler. Let's go with that. Yeah, let's go with it.
Yeah. I mean, Belle Starr, even back in the Wild West, the legend of Belle Starr was like almost exclusively lies, though, like just to build a legend that wasn't actually there. Like tidbits of facts that are tweaked and implanted at different points in time to build something that's not real.
Belle Starr,
what's your ideal hunt? Like, both of you die. What are the circumstances, location? Like, what's your ideal ghost story if you become a ghost?
Do I have limitations? Like,
am I stuck to where I die? Yeah.
Sky's the limit. Let's say you've got full god powers, but like the more godlike you are, the more undeniable it will be. So like you can't.
If you have
if you want to just be like, this is what happens when you die, guys. Which I always thought like it's very unneighborly that ghosts don't do that. Don't explain the nature of.
Maybe that's like part of the contract, though.
Well, I'm going to answer this in a real way. I am more of the belief if ghosts are real. If they're real, it's more likely a weird wobbly point in space and time where we're more likely seeing them. Yeah, and they're likely seeing, or they may be seeing us, which is why they react weird, and they don't know what's going on. I think that makes more logical sense if we're to assume that they're ghosts. I think when you die, you just become part of the great information sphere, part of consciousness, whatever, like the grand consciousness of it all is.
The noosphere?
The noosphere.
I don't. Yeah,
I use that
like
word sometimes, and no one ever knows what I'm talking about.
It's like
but I like
it's
it.
the orange shit from Evangelion, basically.
Okay,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, the
Pretty
LCL. I think that's what that'd be my preference. I'd love just like take what I've learned and meld into the greater consciousness and become part of the story of the universe.
Ooh, okay.
I would become like a cryptid at like dank arcades. Like if you have like sick games in the arcade, you might like take a picture and there'll be like a dude with a Hawaiian shirt like playing one of the games that nobody plays.
You turn on, you play player 1, like just occasionally you'll get a new challenger if there's no one at player 2, but you're fighting a guy with like super skills.
Yeah, and it's like Bloody Mary because if you like look, then it's like it's over. You know what I mean? Like
you're playing as Akuma, but like his eyes are bleeding.
Yeah. You he comes in and he looks at the camera and he says, "Fuck you," and then he beats you no matter what.
Subscribe to Chilluminati.
Patreon.com/Chilluminati.
If I do supernatural, I want to be dead by aliens and haunt aliens, and then travel in the ship and see the universe.
You want to get like probed to death, and then like
let me be part of the hybrid program. I will fuck a bunch of aliens, then die when my usefulness is no longer needed, and they have what they need. But then they don't know that there's also ghosts, and I start haunting them forever.
I feel like your wish for becoming a ghost can't involve you being abducted by aliens.
I said the sky's the limit.
That's higher than the sky. That's way higher than the sky.
That's true, actually. Okay, you got actually a point. Shit.
I like the idea of the aliens having like ghost men in black who just hide evidence of your haunting.
They're like, did you hear that?
Oh my God.
Shut up, Gleeman.
Gleeman Glorp, shut the fuck up.
I want a friendly old lady men in black. I want her to just come to my house, be like, tell me all about it, dear. Here's some tea. The tea is drugged. It wipes my memory.
Oh.
Just like a chill.
Dude, or she's supernatural, where as you're telling the story, she's taking it from you and you're forgetting as she takes
I like it. I like
that
it.
It becomes part of her.
That would be a good heaven. It's just like,
yo, this is a comic or something there.
Just an afternoon with grandma.
Yeah,
oh my God, what a great title.
Somebody who's interested. Like you just go in a room and it's somebody who's interested in what you have to say.
That's the most depressing dream I've ever heard, Alex.
That's a great.
People subscribe to your podcast, Alex.
That's why I started the podcast, because I had nobody to talk to about it, so I had to force people to be listening to me talk about this shit.
You are loved.
But you know, like when you want to just like say a million billion things about Doctor Who, you know what I mean? Like when you just want to like say something.
It's called info dumping. My neurodivergent friend.
Yeah, you know when you just want to do that and like. You're aware that you're just talking to no one. I feel like heaven would be like, I can just talk about the Seventh Doctor for like 4 hours straight. And they're like, oh my God, that's so neat. You know,
dude, my heaven is going to be getting Terrence McKenna and Grant Morrison to have a conversation. And I just get to listen.
Did you become like the world's biggest Grant Morrison fan in the last 3 weeks?
Not Grant Morrison, I am a huge fan of Grant Morrison as a person right now, just because I love his ideology, even if it's chaos. Like, I don't say I believe in it, but I love how he fully embodies everything.
Yeah.
But he seems the literal opposite side of the coin of Terrence McKenna.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's and I would love to see the two of them talk, because they both believe in the same thing in very different ways. And it's just a fascinating, I'd love to just listen to that conversation.
They just start kissing. You know what I mean?
There's a long, I don't even know what to call it, essay fiction, something that's just examining the history of British pop culture as like a chaos wizard battle between Alan Moore and Grant Morrison. And I keep meaning to read it.
It's perfect
Grant
idea.
Morrison actually practices chaos magic.
So does Alan Moore.
Yeah, you all know more comics than I do. So I'm sure you
guys ever read Herbie Popnecker from the 60s? The Fat Fury Herbie. No. Alan Moore cites it as his favorite comic, which he might be doing just to be contrarian because he says a lot of wild stuff in his interviews. But it's genuinely just a very entertaining comic. Like, it's just this kid is drawn so round that he's like a circle.
pop
and he's just got these round glasses, and he always looks out of breath, and he's just this chill kid. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna go over there, but like he just walks through the air, like he'll just walk across the ocean to meet the queen or whatever.
Yeah.
And like everyone he meets is just like, you're the greatest person I've ever met. Like women just throw themselves at it. The only people who don't realize that their son is God is his parents, who are just like, that fat little piece of crap. I hate my kid. He's worthless. And he's like, I don't need to feel bad about this because I'm functionally a god. Like I can time travel. Like he just has every ability.
The picture of him on Wikipedia has a like text box next to him. He's flying. He's just walking over a wall as some like shirtless like islanders are like throwing spears at him. He's eating a lollipop. And awesome. it says, make for the hills. He's back. History's most horrible hero. A little fat nothing named Herbie.
I love him so much.
Incredible.
He's the greatest little baby. He just
incredible.
I think there's one where he goes back in time to the Revolutionary War, and George Washington is like, we're not gonna make it, Herbie, and he's like, here's what you do, Chief.
This is incredible.
Oh, I gotta see that. I've got the Invisibles omnibus on the way. I'm very excited.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
That's his hyper sigil.
This is a long time ago. This is from 1958. Holy shit.
Oh wow.
It's a fun it's because everyone I've shown it to says he visually reads as an Asian kid who's been like adopted by like a white family that don't respect him.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're going to adapt it, that I don't know if that's too dark, but like it's definitely a thematically heavy way to adapt it.
He definitely looks, he has a look. Let's put it that way. He looks like, I don't know if
it's the bowl cut because his hair is darker than his parents, if I remember right.
He has like the little circular glasses that like Mickey Rooney wears when he's like that really racist like Chinese guy in Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Maybe that's it.
He's got the like fucking like straight across bangs, like he's wearing like a yarmulke, like forward on his head almost. Like his little like somebody did like a literal bowl cut, but like with like a cast iron skillet more than a bowl.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's like subtext that we're projecting in, but like. I don't know. He's a very. I love him.
Yeah,
I love that name.
For some reason the latter half of it becomes a superhero thing. I mean, he's still funny, but like we have enough funny superheroes. I'm a lot less enamored of the second half. But
his dad is named Pincus.
Deadpool ruins funny superheroes in a lot of ways.
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I'm not speaking. I'm speaking from no experience of reading comics, so don't believe anything I say. I just pull from pop culture.
I'm trying to remember. I think there's one where he. Supernatural icon Herbie Popnecker. I haven't just embarked on a complete digression. He's like fighting a champion boxer. The boxer's just terrified of him because like, that's Herbie. He's the greatest fighter in the world. What am I going to do?
That's awesome.
Incredible, like hilarious idea.
Yeah,
like what the fuck? Like where did that come from? That's like a Tim and Eric sketch. I love that.
I got a couple quick Queen Mary stories before we move to our last topic of the episode. No, I just, we could talk about it. I could just fucking spiral and talk about things for hours. Some really quick ones. There's one from October of 2024 from People Magazine, editor Julie Jordan, who spent a night aboard. Jordan and two friends who dubbed themselves the Ghost Moms checked into B deck near B340. Within minutes of lying down, a motion sensor they'd set by the door chirped with no one near it. A second sensor by the window went off later. When Jordan waved her hand in front of it, she felt full body goosebumps. At dinner, a 20-year staffer told them about a child spirit, Jackie, that we talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. And then Jordan watched a small shadow move behind a locked, frosted glass door. Staff said the room had no other entrance. And on the Gray Ghost Project tour, one friend heard a clear cough behind her near door 13, where the crewman died in 1966, though they thought they were alone.
It's a pretty realistic account of like being haunted for like what it is, like for such a big magazine so far. Like this is like very believable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically the article. Then there's one I got from Reddit that's titled "My Name Is Not Jim." This is from 2017 from Reddit user Charuhas, Charouhas. This Redditor was touring the Queen Mary with family and entered a quote-unquote notoriously haunted stateroom that had been closed to lodging at the time. So they kind of like snuck in.
That was probably the one that you were talking about, right?
Yeah. As the guide repeatedly addressed an entity by a specific name, the OP was suddenly overwhelmed by violent anger and a looping thought. My name is not Jim. The rage, nausea, and dizziness felt wholly alien to their normal temperament, and they left the room ahead of the group, and the sensation stopped immediately. Later, they concluded, quote, "Whatever lives in that room truly had a hold of me."
Whoa.
And the last story is from Reddit user LoveCats29. This poster's father managed the hotel operation back then. This happened in the early 90s and set the family on a daytime history ghost tour. At the first class pool, the OP's sister and roommate both saw an older man with a white beard and navy clothing standing by a tiled column. He vanished the moment they looked, and the guide said the area was restricted with no one else present. The group immediately walked the perimeter, including the dressing rooms and the exit route where a person would have had to pass them, and saw no one. That night, the father told them it was maintenance, quote unquote, but years later admitted he had only said that to calm them. Security had confirmed no one was down there during those hours that they were.
Huh.
Yeah, this is, a little small,
pretty good
stories.
Yeah, pretty good.
Decent little stories, little hauntings. But the last thing we're going to talk about is another famous place in LA. None other than the Cecil Hotel.
Oh my God.
Of course. The Cecil Hotel opened on Main Street in 1924 as a respectable, just downtown hotel with a marble lobby, had stained glass windows, and just marketed itself very well as where business travelers would head for the Spring Street financial district. The Depression undercut that plan. As downtown slipped and Skid Row expanded, the building adapted by getting cheaper. And by the 1960s, it had become a residential hotel for people with few other options. That's basically the frame that explains everything that came after. A place that was built for aspirational travel turned into an address where hard days were just concentrated into one place. The incidents people still recite don't need help from myth to sound grim either. Trust me. In 1962, a woman named Pauline Otten just jumped from an upper floor window and landed on a passerby, George Giannini, killing them both instantly. It's fucking crazy. That poor person was just walking by. 2 years later, the tenant everyone knew as Pigeon Goldie Osgood, because she fed birds at Pershing Square, was found murdered in her room. Someone was arrested that day and cleared later, and the case today remains unsolved. The building also picked up a pair of true crime footnotes that stuck to it. In the mid-1980s, Richard Ramirez, who we will...
Fucking nuts, the Night Stalker.
Dude, there will be the series maybe this year that I will be doing on Richard Ramirez.
If I didn't do Manson, I would have done Night Stalker.
Richard Ramirez is going to be a 3 or 4 parter. I have so much I want to talk about with him. There's the Night Stalker.
Well, now as I'm about to ask, I'm realizing, one, I don't remember the actual name of it because I always think it's the Night Stalker, but it's not. And 2, it's simultaneously one of those things where I'm like, you've definitely talked about this, or this is definitely too silly for you to have talked about it. The disembodied pair of pants that walks around North Hollywood.
Oh, we talked about them.
You have? Okay,
yeah, the Fresno Nightcrawlers.
That's it. The Nightcrawler. That's it.
Yeah. No, that's not what. That's not it. That's not what you were thinking of.
That was what I was thinking of. I just when Alex invited me on yesterday, I was in the car with my girlfriend who immediately said, "You have to talk about the Fresno Nightcrawler."
Oh, we did a whole T-shirt and poster about the Fresno Nightcrawler.
I'm so sorry I missed it. I'm excited.
It's very cool.
A regular set of little guys.
Good.
Yeah, they're regular, definitely. So Richard Ramirez was a regular in the neighborhood, and according to people who worked there, stayed at the Cecil Hotel during his killings. And in 1991, Austrian serial killer Jack Unterweger lodged there while on a journalism assignment and strangled 3 women during his Los Angeles stay.
Was he doing like a pizza tour but of killing?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, actually. Yeah,
wow.
He wanted to go to every city.
Tour. Why would you go to California?
Yeah.
It's not a bad place to have pizza, I'll tell you.
And these are all
Indian pizza here, but again, that's not California pizza. It's Indian pizza.
That's fair. That's fair.
And these aren't any ghost stories. These are just shit in police files, court proceedings. This is not ghost tour shit. That's so fucked up
that a serial killer stayed there and so another serial killer stayed there.
That's the kind of place, if you believe in
that's
bad vibes of a place, if you really
Are you sure that doesn't just mean the porter asks no questions?
It could be, but it's this guy came to America while he was doing a kill spree, like Hannibal Lecter, and visited LA to do some killing here while he was chilling and chose a famous hotel that a killer stayed at. You know what I mean? That is crazy.
It's crazy. The reputation the hotel carried in the 2000s was just earned. It tried to shed it in 2011 with a partial rebrand as Stay on Main. That didn't change the buildings
when
in any way.
When we were doing Wonderling, the game that I wrote for Switch and
You did
stuff,
great on that.
the dudes, the dudes that like made the game are from Sweden, and they were like here for E3, and we were gonna like go around and take some meetings and stuff, and they were like, well, yeah, we're staying at the Stay on Main, and I was like, guys,
no,
wrap it up. I sent them like a couple YouTube videos, and I was like, you guys got to get out of there.
Yeah, that's not where you want to go.
Is this the place right next to the Grand Central Market? No, that'd be on Grand, of course.
No, it's pretty close. It's.
I think I went swing dancing there once. Is that
maybe it has a lobby that you can walk in. It's a big yellow sign in the front. I don't know if it's still there. The yellow sign.
I think so.
There.
I think so. They do maybe.
It's on Main.
Obviously, it's a place you stay on Main.
Yeah.
In late January 2013, a 21-year-old student from...
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I went swing dancing here. I didn't even know.
There you go.
Coat check was like $10. What a nightmare.
Yeah. Welcome to Los Angeles.
I refuse to stay on Main anymore.
Yeah. In late January 2013, a 21-year-old student from British Columbia, Alisa Lamb, checked in. She vanished after a few days. 2 weeks later, the LAPD released an elevator surveillance clip, which Alex has covered on one of his past episodes, and I think Internet Mysteries, of her last known movements in the hotel, pressing multiple buttons, stepping in and out, moving her hands in the hallway. The video went viral on the internet, basically. Theories fractured, multiplied, kind of just caught fire. An anonymous sleuth fixed on details, and a metal musician who had stayed at the hotel a year earlier became a target of harassment so heavy he later went public about the damage it did to his life.
There was a Netflix on this.
Yeah, none of that changed what the coroner wrote. When Lamb's body was found in a rooftop water tank on February 19th, the autopsy ruled accidental drowning with bipolar disorder listed as a significant condition. There was no evidence of homicide or sexual assault. The elevator clip picked up its own rumors after the fact. Some said the time code looked odd. Some said the video had been edited. The hotel's then manager said flatly that she turned the raw footage over to the police and did not alter it. The LA Times and other outlets that followed the case stuck to the same spine from the start. Missing person, viral video, discovery tank, accidental drowning report. The riddle came from the internet, not from any of the reports. There are other stories that travel with the building because they fit the mood, even when the documents don't, like this one. You will hear that Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, drank at the Cecil the night she disappeared in 1947, really? For instance. Yeah, that claim appears in pop culture roundups. It's on ghost tours, but the last solid sighting places her at the Biltmore, not here. And it's fair to mark that one is popular, but unverified add-on that attaches itself wherever a story like this feels like it belongs. Like, this is one of those things where like the hotel can kind of attract stories that aren't part of it because they would be so easily slid into Cecil Hotel. Well, of course that would happen at Cecil Hotel. The Black Dahlia murder is one of the most gruesome, prolific murders that ever happened. And Cecil Hotel was already known for being a terrible fucking place at that time. After years of stalled renovation plans, the city made the Cecil a historic cultural monument in 2017 for the intact shell and its architect's work.
It is really pretty.
Yeah,
yeah.
So, yeah, sort of, yeah, sure.
And in 2021,
if I die, that's where I've decided that's where I'm going to go.
That's your dream haunt?
Like, that's not, you'd be such a, like, if you die at the Cecil Hotel, you become a cliche haunting. You don't even get your own story.
But when you die, like the ghosts of all the other victims are like doing a swing dance, and they're like playing the music, and they're like, "Welcome to the party, babe."
It's like the Frighteners.
That's true.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be alone.
Screwdriver.
Yeah, that'd be great.
No, I barely know her.
That was good. I thought about it, and I literally stopped myself. And I'm like, I shouldn't, but I should have. In 2021, the doors reopened, not as a hotel, but as an unusual, privately financed, supportive housing project. About 600 single room units intended for formerly unhoused residents. That project struggled to fill its units at first, then drew scrutiny for conditions and management. And in March 2024, the long ground lease was listed for sale and was kind of like a failed attempt. Today, it functions as affordable housing with just a very haunted, myth-heavy past. A building doing both social work while reporters still write about what it used to be. And you can be, if you like want to be precise about what the Cecil Hotel is and isn't, it's easy to kind of keep the facts and dig through the details and find facts from folklore. I think that removes some of the mystery and magic from it, because even some of them, there's still questions about, well, why is this particular haunting happening?
The
what
vibes
have
in
you.
there are just heinous. Like,
Yes, it's just not good. I don't know. The fuck was
What?
that?
Ooh, it's Jackie.
I just saw in like the corner of my ceiling, it was just this bright white, like flickery, like loop light that, not like like a very bright one that just went like blinked weirdly, and I looked and then it was gone. I don't know where the fuck that would have reflected off of. I'm assuming it's reflecting off of somebody. It is cloudy outside, but there's still sun.
That's crazy.
And that additionally is not the first time I've seen, that's actually the second time I've seen weird just light in my room. One other time I've seen it, and it was like traveling up in between the cracks of my soundproof foam. I went to the doctor. I'm okay, everybody. Don't worry. I did go. I've been to the doctor. Yeah, it's all good. That's just weird. I don't know what the fuck that was.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know. Weird. I'd like just be
Cecil
nothing.
Hotel.
Like
heinous vibes.
yeah, it's haunting me through the script at this point.
There's a game that heavily was based on Alisa Lamb's death. That Yick game. I forget what it's actually called, but it's like Y2K, but it's like it looks like Yick. A postmodern RPG.
No idea.
The main character's name is Alex in that game, and it's fully voiced, and it like scared the shit out of me.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah,
He has a red beard in that game, right?
that's right.
Is that
That's
okay?
crazy.
Yeah, that was
really
scary.
it was weird. Yeah.
Yeah, that would freak me out too. Regardless,
Yeah, I'm like, I get residuals. Surely, where are they?
Yeah.
Where are they? Check.
This game's about
where's my
me.
money?
You
I want
stole
27
my
cents.
story.
And there's still other things we've covered in live shows that I could probably do a second episode of. The people who were hunting for gold veins via made up technology and stuff like that.
Tunnels. Yeah.
So have you talked about the storm tunnel burglars?
No, never.
No, we've not talked about them.
So last month there was a chain of storm tunnel burglars downtown LA, like I think just one jewelry store, but maybe there were two. Someone just tunneled into them from the storm tunnels, and those are like, they're unmapped. Like, you have to be a city employee to have access to maps of it. And there was like a string in the 80s, I want to say, and this is talked about in that same book about architecture and crime, whose name I sadly forget. Because there was a string of these very similar burglaries across the city. I think those were to bank vaults, but like you can't drive in those storm tunnels. You need like a special city utility, like golf cart.
Yeah.
And so the theory was always that it was a couple of city employees
Like an
who
inside job?
sort of, worked together, and then they never found them. They found, I think they found a truck abandoned with some of the equipment they probably used, but no one ever figured out who they were. And I choose to believe that this is like the next century reboot of those crimes. Like the next generation is like, hey, grandpa. And the grandpa's like, he's the mastermind. He's like, you kids get off your phone.
Last show.
Morgan Freeman. Yeah. He's like
show.
taking them under his wing.
Whoa.
There's a ton of stuff we can still talk about. Like
And
the
it's great.
whole
Like, tunneling up from the ground is such a shredder move, you know?
Yes,
Like,
it's
nice
really
movie.
Mole Man.
It's
Hans Mole
and
Man.
Mole Man,
vibes.
yeah, very Mole Man.
Honestly,
so like
I heard it took 'em months to make the tunnel. Like, it would have to take a really long time
That's
to
crazy.
do also, which is kind of interesting.
yeah, there's a whole other episode, probably 2 or more that we could do of this, but we are at 2-hour mark already. And Los Angeles tells these stories to itself like over and over, and they make, there's little tourist attractions and stuff from this. But whether it is aircraft or phantom aircraft, maybe over Santa Monica, our own rockets raining down on Palmdale, explaining weird lights over Topanga, violent ghosts in Culver City, maritime spirits in Long Beach, or the heavy history of just LA itself. The arguments continue, not because we don't know what happened, but because what happened never feels like enough explanation for how these places make us feel. Because in my mind, like I said at the very beginning, Los Angeles, the sky participants, the buildings remember, LA itself is a character, and every story seems to carry the tone of that character with it. And that's where our episode ends.
Oh, that's so
That's a great write-up.
Yeah.
Thank
And it
you.
only gets weirder all month as LA month continues. And Abby, thank you so much for coming onto the show to be one of our Los Angelinos, if you will.
Yeah.
It is an honor and a privilege.
One more time for the people, if they want to check out Abby online, or if they want to check out Abby in Scotland, where should they go?
Well, if you look at abbydenton.com, because I finally set up a new website that's designed rather than what I used to use.
Yeah.
It really
it's
captures,
pretty.
it
It's
really
fun. It's
captures
kinda-
your aesthetic too, I would say.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. It's abbydenton.com if you want to, and that's got links to the ticket sales for Abby Denton, My Favorite Loser, the show. I'll say it slower, at the Edinburgh Fringe, going at week 3 of the Edinburgh Fringe if you happen to be there. And there's just assorted other stuff that website can point you to. So do make friends and be nice to me, or else.
Delightful.
You're 8 million
Yes.
years old. You'll eventually find them and kill them.
Yes.
We're off to go do a mini-sode over at patreon.com/Chilluminati If you are over or haven't checked out the Patreon, swing it over. We're only 2 tiers now. $5 ad-free, $15 video, ad-free, poster, rotten popcorn. You get it all. $15, all the extra stuff with all the fluff. $5 is just the lean option with no ads. We appreciate you guys supporting us there. We'll be over there. Like I said, do Minnesota. We appreciate you. We love you. Goodbye.
Que tengan buenos días.
Anyway, me and my wife were sitting outside indulging on our porch one night, enjoying ourselves. I needed to go to the bathroom, so I stepped back inside, and after a few moments, I hear my wife go, "Holy shit, get out here." So I quickly dash back outside, and she's looking up at the sky in awe. I look up too, and there's a perfect line of dozen lights traveling across the sky.